Hello, this is Doug Gerlach from iClubcentral and myiclub.com. Welcome to our investment club webinar for September of 2024. Today is September 17th, 2024. Our topic for tonight is handling investment club member e-payments. We're going to take a look at some of the ways that you can collect your members' monthly payments using electronic means and perhaps helping to streamline and simplify the club treasurer's job. So we'll be tackling that topic. The handout for tonight's slides are in the handouts tab of the GoToWebinar application, and the question box is also there. So please feel free to type your questions at any point in the questions box. Russell Malley and Sean Pulrang from our staff are in the back office, and they may be able to assist you as we go through the presentation. It's been a busy 2024 with a lot of chapter events that iClubcentral has been participating in. I've got a busy schedule set up for the rest of the year and even some events scheduled through 2025. That's not 2035. But if you are near any of these or participate in any of these chapters in their online activities, I'd love to see you at some of these upcoming events. The best place to find our complete schedule is on the smallcapinformer.com website in the resources area. You can also see these events on your myiclub.com club calendar by looking at the global events category. But we've had some great events in person and online recently, and looking forward to meeting more club members for the rest of the year. Now, next month is a very special webinar. We did this last year. We're doing investment club portfolio tune-ups. So we're looking for 5 to 7 or so clubs to submit their portfolios, and we will take a look at them, review them, provide some tune-up ideas for diversification or growth potential, risk levels, problem securities, and more. We'll be using the MyClub website and some of the reports and tools that are available there. So in order to participate, you must be a MyClub user, and we'll consider your clubs in the order of submission. The time is limited, of course, so there are only a few that we will be able to address. If you're interested, please submit your club name to me directly, gerlach@iclub.com. Remember that we will be mentioning the name and the state of your club, but we're not going to, and we'll be looking at the portfolio, but we won't provide any other private information or information about your members. If you have any questions as well, you can also reach out to my iClub support. So hoping that you might benefit from this, then feel free to submit your club, and we'll be doing that. That's next October, next month in October, the third Tuesday of the month. So now let's take a look at our topic, handling investment club member e-payments. Now, we talk a lot about member payments and fees and deposits. Most investment clubs require members to put cash into their club on a monthly or other periodic basis. There's nothing to say that you couldn't collect member payments on a quarterly basis. We've heard of clubs who put in a lump sum at the beginning of the year. Those are all fine strategies as long as the club members agree with them. The funds that members put in purchase units in the member's name, and they're called member payments. Now, we don't call them dues. That's kind of a loose term, but because this is capital that's paid into the club by the members, so dues doesn't really capture it. That's why we call them member payments. Now, clubs may also impose penalties, which are called member fees. And those fees are also paid in by members into the club. They don't purchase units, and we recommend that you never use fees to offset expenses, only use them for penalty situations. And together, we talk about member payments and member fees as member deposits. So the treasurer can make member deposits that may be be inclusive of member payments and member fees. Now, traditionally, in the old living room style investment club, the treasurer would collect all of the member payments at the month. They would collect checks from all the members and record them in the books after the meeting and deposit those checks into the bank. And of course, many clubs are increasingly meeting online for at least some of their regular meetings, and clubs are also getting rid of their bank accounts and focusing and simplifying on a single brokerage account. So that also requires some new methods for collecting member payments. And often clubs would have a bank and a broker. They deposit the money into the bank and then transfer periodically the cash to the broker. We like to keep things simple and recommend that treasurers and clubs don't get too wrapped up in lots of accounts and lots of transactions. And so the trend towards allowing investment clubs to have a brokerage account that includes online bill payment or check writing, and the fact that many individuals now have access to online bill pay in their checking accounts and banking accounts, and even their brokerage accounts, means that there are some new ways that you can collect capital from members instead of the traditional paper check route. Now, I mentioned these brokers are offering cash management services as a replacement for banking. Cash management means check writing. It means sometimes you can get a debit card from your brokerage account. So it really can serve much like a bank, even though it may not be the bank. And brokerage firms like Fidelity and Siebert, which are two of the popular firms for clubs, allow clubs to access cash management and check writing services. And this will eliminate the club's need to have a bank account. So if you're only occasionally paying expenses or withdrawing partners from the club, chances are a bank account that permits you unlimited check writing really isn't a big benefit. And even if a brokerage firm will limit the number of checks that you can write in a month, for many clubs, that's not a problem whatsoever. And if you can eliminate one of the financial accounts, that can help simplify the accounting, because no longer do you have to transfer money between accounts. No longer do you have to wait for cash to clear one account before it gets transferred to another account, and then wait for it to clear there as well. In the name of streamlining and efficiency, this can be a very positive effect. You only get one set of tax forms at year end from a single financial institution. So all in all, it can be a very worthwhile thing to explore. A lot of banks have also been raising the charges and the fees that they levy on small business accounts, which many investment clubs are considered. And so that can make it prohibitive as well and drive that search for a single brokerage firm that might serve both needs. Now, many, but certainly not all brokerages allow third-party checks, that is, the checks of individual members, to be deposited in the brokerage account. Traditionally, you had a brokerage account and you could put money into it on your bank account, from your bank account, either by transferring it or by writing a check. But other ways of depositing third-party checks or endorsing checks tended not to be allowable by brokers. Those that do allow third-party checks, the treasurer can continue to collect paper checks from the members at a meeting and then either mail or deposit them in person into the brokerage account. Many brokers have an app that allows you to make deposits electronically, so you don't actually have to submit the checks, and you can deposit them into your account. So that again can streamline things, and the deposit is made pretty immediately. So if you're interested in this, you're not doing it already, check with your broker for specific instructions, especially the required payee formatting, so that who the check is payable to must be written in a particular way for your own protection and to ensure that the money goes not only to your brokerage account, but to your account ultimately at the brokerage account. There is an FBO payee designation that's often used, and many brokers will accept it. They may not suggest it, but it is commonplace in the industry. FBO means for benefit of. It's used throughout the financial service industry as the payee for all sorts of transactions. For instance, parents or guardians might make a deposit for a minor, so they are writing a check from their account, but it's going into the minor's account, and so they would write, XYZ broker for benefit of, and then the name of their minor child, and that's one way of using it. FBO is often used when retirement account funds are transferred from an institution to another institution, or when rollover checks are deposited into retirement plans, or anytime there are electronic transfers that are transferred or received by financial institutions on behalf of their account holder. They will use that FBO benefit. And so here is the common format, and brokers may stipulate some variation of it, but the payable field for member checks would be something like brokerage name, FBO, club name, and club account number. And sometimes you'll see they the broker may indicate that just include the account number, but if you have the club name, the account name there as well, it really makes it clear. And so in this example, the check is written to, payable to Trades a Bunch Brokerage, FBO, NEIC, any investment club, account number 12345678890. Right, and so when the Trades a Bunch brokerage gets this check, they see the account number in the payable there, and they know who to credit that check to. Right, so it makes a whole lot of sense. It's standard. No brokerage firm will be confused by this nomenclature whatsoever. So that's one way to kind of to consolidate and use the technology to your club's benefits. We also get a lot of questions about how club members might be able to pay electronically. And certainly the increase in e-banking and online club meetings has really raised that interest. A lot of people would just rather get away from paper checks. I personally saw my checkbook this week for the first time in probably 2 years, and realized I had not written a paper check in more than 2 years. Just everything is electronically, it's done online, and so we can understand how club members are interested in getting rid of those paper check transactions. And so again, depending on the members' banks and the club's brokerage, there are several methods that you might be able to explore. One is online bill pay and electronic checking. Another is something known as ACH, or automated clearinghouse. The old standby of wire transfer will include there to be complete. And then people often wonder about using Venmo or Cash App or PayPal or another of the cashless transaction applications that are out there. So let's run through these. The online bill pay, electronic checking, e-check, whatever you want to call it, many brokers will accept that sort of online bill pay or online transfer from third parties. Again, that FBO format can be important. So what would happen is your members would go to their bank, to their online bill pay section. They would have the information from the treasurer about the club's brokerage account, the account number, the address to which the payment is to be directed. So often banks online bill pay section will require you to put in the name of the payee and the address, and they may or may not be sending that payment via a paper check. They may be able to send it electronically, but they will require that information, the account number that the money is going to, and the phone number. So the treasurer should go to the broker and clear, get that information, make sure that it's clear, and provide club members with the club's brokerage account number. So that makes it pretty easy if you're using online bill pay, where you're for recurring payments that just get made on a monthly basis. You can add your club that way. The money goes right to your club's brokerage account. The treasurer can see it and can record it in the books. So definitely check that out. That can simplify things quite a bit, and a very common way, very easy and straightforward way to transfer funds. Another is something known as automated clearinghouse, or ACH. It's a system of transferring funds between financial institutions. It's been around for a very long time. It's become a little more popular in the last couple of decades. ACH transactions typically take 3 to 5 business days to complete. Most financial institutions process 3 batches a day. So they're not doing it on an instantaneous basis, but they're batching them up and they're sending them out to the recipient institution that confirms them. So if you miss the last transfer of the day, if you go in at 3:30 or 4 o'clock and you're past the cutoff, that ACH transaction wouldn't start until the next day. There may be same day ACH available. Usually there's a fee for that. ACH, when it's available, is often offered at no charge or with very low fees. It's secure, it's traceable, it's considered safer than wire transfers. May not be available outside the United States. Now, ACH is very common with business accounts, business transactions, not as much with individuals, but so your mileage may vary in terms of whether your bank offers ACH transactions. ACH transactions are common in industries like your gym membership. When you sign up for the gym membership, they may offer you the ability to pay your monthly gym dues by credit card, but it's more likely that they're gonna you put your bank account information in there and you authorize the gym to transfer out of your account the funds that will satisfy your monthly obligation at the gym. So as I said, your mileage may vary, whether your bank's a member's bank may offer this particular feature, but it is something that you can certainly ask about and find out more information on your bank's website as an individual member. Now, wire transfers are the old standby of transferring typically large payments. Often in the business world, you'll see contracts that are settled by wire transfer, or legal judgments or settlements that are often made using wire transfers, so large sums that get instantly received and confirmed in a single day, which is very important. Often, in order to make wire transfers from a personal account, you've got to verify your identity and you've got to know the routing information of the target bank. Again, if you're doing this on a regular basis, maybe it makes sense. There may be some charges, and your bank may also allow it for occasional use, but if you do it too much, they may want to charge you. It may not be available if you don't have enough assets at your bank. It's probably not the easiest way to make periodic monthly payments of relatively small amounts, but it is an option. And if your club was considering collecting member payments on a schedule other than monthly, maybe this is an option that some members might utilize. It seems like it's a lot of work. It would have to be set up on a each month you would have to initiate the wire transfer, more likely than not. Whereas with ACH and online bill pay, you could set up those transactions to be recurring and just happen every month. Now, a lot of people want to know about, can we use Venmo? Can we Venmo our club member payments to the brokerage account? And yes, the short answer is no, but some brokers are accepting and utilizing cash transfer applications like Venmo or Cash App or PayPal. But the thing is, they're not usually set up from third parties. They're doing it from the individual's account. Uh, so at your broker, if you go to Fidelity, you can connect your Venmo account to your Fidelity account, and you can transfer money and back and forth that way. You can put money into your Fidelity account or withdraw it using Venmo, for instance. But it doesn't really seem to work for sending payments to somebody else's Fidelity account, including your clubs. So something to watch out for, but it may or may not be possible right now. And there may be brokers out there that are fully fueled with Venmo integration that I'm not aware of. So please let me know. Now, I have heard of clubs where members will use Venmo to send their member payments to the club treasurer's personal account, and then the club treasurer will write a check and deposit it into the brokerage account. And so all the payments get bundled into one transaction there. I don't particularly like this method. I think it's complicated, and I don't like this break in the chain of custody of funds, if you will. Uh, you're counting on a lot of things that have to happen, and I know we all trust our treasurers, but it just takes the treasurer to forget, something to happen to the treasurer. Now the funds are in the account, and you might be talking about $1,000 or so, and they might get locked up in that account, and something happens to the treasurer. So there seems to be a downside there. And I, as a treasurer, wouldn't want to take on that responsibility of having the cash in my personal account and then transferring it out. I would be cautious with that type of arrangement. It may seem like it's a very it makes things easy, but I still feel like you need to conduct yourself with a bit more of a traceable record in terms of where all the members' money is coming from and where it's all going. So if you are using different methods for collecting member payments than the old-fashioned paper checks, I think it's important that the club review its policies for recording deposits. Typically, these kinds of transfers take 3 to 5 days to complete. That's not really that different from the time that it would take a check to clear a bank in many cases at the maximum. But in order to keep the treasurer sane, I think clubs should set deadlines by which the funds must be received in order for them to be credited to that month's deposits. So if you're meeting on the third Friday of the month, members shouldn't target their payments to arrive on the third Thursday of the month, the day before. And so the club should members should be aware of that, and the club should all be in agreement so that some members aren't sending their member payments or scheduling them after the meeting. Others are sending them well before the meeting, and just try to have some consistency there, so that the treasurer can sit down, process the monthly transactions, and handle all. There's not a couple of stragglers that have to be dealt with. It's my belief that you set no matter what, you set your deadline for members must make their regular dues payment or the regular member payments by the date of the meeting, and then maybe plus 3 days afterwards. So if someone is late, they can take the initiative and make their member payment. And then the treasurer on the fourth or fifth day after the meeting will process the deposit and put the money into the bank or the brokerage on that date. So you're giving the clubs a little bit of a leeway. What I don't like to see is you enter all of the club member payments after the meeting, so everyone gets the benefit of the unit value at that meeting, and someone is 2 weeks late, and they in theory, have had their own money 2 weeks longer than everyone else, but they get credited at the same unit value. And I know it's a tiny thing, but I feel like again, in the business world, you wouldn't necessarily tolerate that kind of let somebody make a purchase 2 weeks later at the sale price that everyone else had to pay on a particular date. So my policy is you hold those that come after your grace period date, you hold those payments and record them as of the next monthly meeting. And when you record them and the date that they're received in your bank account or brokerage account can be two separate things, so you can note that separately. And there is some, that different people have different ideas about that rule, but it's one of my little peeves about managing and handling late transactions. I don't believe that you need to penalize the late payers any more than simply not giving them the benefit of that month's unit value. And if the club's unit value was rising over time, the habitual late payers will always end up paying a little bit more for units than if they'd been on time. And I think that's penalty enough, keeps the treasurer's job a little bit easier. So once the club is settled on what's possible and what works and what the treasurer is comfortable with, the treasurer needs to provide some explicit instructions to members, including the club's brokerage number, what the brokerage account number, what the brokerage says, how to write the check, how the payee is, where the payments need to be sent, etc. What the club's policies are. Club should convene and determine what that grace period is and when those payments should be received. If some members are paying by check, how does the club payment policies apply to them? Some are paying by check and some are making e-payments. Now, one of the issues that comes up, let's just check the let me check the questions here really quickly. I see Sharon says, our member deposits are credited to the brokerage account when the broker has the amount available. So is that what we should or shouldn't be doing? Yeah, my take is um, 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 it's your club. You get to set it up. I don't have any particular problems with that. Obviously, the 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 there can be questions raised when there are discrepancies between the date of a transaction in the club's books and the date of the transaction in a financial institution statement, right? And if they're different, it would be right for someone to say, why was this payment not processed, this deposit not recorded on this date? Again, if your policy is set and allows for that, it's easy to make a note that says in the My iClub for that transaction that says check received this date and it was deposited on this date. So in your case, you're doing something similar. You're saying you're waiting until the money is cleared. And I understand, I would guess that you want to make sure you know what's the amount that is available, the investable amount, and not the amount that's sort of in transit. One way around that, it's kind of complicated, is that the member deposits when they come in are recorded into the suspense account. So they don't show up in the brokerage balance. And then once they clear the brokerage, the funds are cleared and they're available, then the 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 transactions will be transferred, the cash will be transferred from suspense over to the brokerage. Now that's more complicated, but some treasurers like that and clubs like that because it provides that very clear chain of custody, right? This is where the money is. It was sitting in suspense because it was in limbo. We couldn't use it. It hadn't cleared. And then once it cleared, the money is transferred into the brokerage account. And so that's sort of, but again, you have the issue of not matching your the dates of deposit on that would show up on the brokerage statement. So it's hard to argue one way or the other. It seems to be I don't have any particular problem with it one way or another. Christian says our club uses a bank account and a brokerage account. All member deposits are in the bank account and money is transferred to the brokerage account as needed. What's your take on this method? What are the pros and cons of just having a brokerage account versus a brokerage account and a bank account? Well, I touched on some of them. This is the traditional way the clubs have been set up over the years, where the bank account is used to collect member payments, to pay expenses, and then transfers are made as needed from the bank to the broker or back, from the broker to the bank, for instance, for a member payout. So it's very straightforward. It's the way things have been done for very many years. Issues that have come up are that many people have difficulty finding a bank that will support investment clubs and not charge a lot in fees or require a lot of minimum balances, right? If you have to have $5,000 in your checking account, there's a penalty to the club for having cash that's not working fully for the club. So maintaining a $5,000 minimum balance might be a detriment. Otherwise, clubs or banks have been known to charge, a $10 a month fee, and those fees add up over time. We would also suggest that, check out local credit unions and savings associations tend to be more customer friendly, more consumer friendly, more community minded than banks. And so those can be good options for low cost accounts. So that's one potential downfall. The other potential downfall is just complications because you're moving, as I mentioned, you're collecting the money in the bank. You can't transfer from the bank to the broker until the checks clear the bank account. So you've got a couple of business days there. And then once you make the transfer to your broker account, it may be another couple of days before the broker clears the transaction, right? It's not part of your spending power until the money actually settles. So there could be a delay there that may be not may be problematic if you're really trying to move on an opportunity to buy a stock. And then the final issue is just multiple institution 1099s at year end. You've got multiple transfer transactions, and so if every month you're making transfers to and from, it adds up over the years. One of the things we see the problems that we see in investment clubs has to do with lots of transactions, and the more transactions you have, the more likely there will be errors, and the more errors there are, the more likely they can add up to be substantial unless they're resolved, and the harder it is to reconcile when you've got more transactions happening that are really easy, than it. More transactions, more complication, more potential for problems, right? So if you have one account that will serve all of your needs, then again, you've just streamlined things quite a bit. No more transfers, the money is always there, in your broker. If we have a sudden market correction, or an industry is affected and one of the stocks that you own is in the buy zone, and you're ripe to go, and now you got to wait for your funds to settle, well, then you may have missed that opportunity. So that's another benefit of consolidation. Roger says, for ACH transfers, uh, do, uh, does it appear to the treasurer where the deposit comes from? Does this add treasurer entries, different dates for each transfer? Yes. So Roger, that's a great question. It's a lead in. We're going to talk about how to identify the member electronic deposits that are made into your bank or brokerage account, and how they may be identified. The brokerage statement or even your bank statement will not show the names of members making payments in most cases. Now, often, uh, sometimes bank statements will let you view online the deposits that are made, if they're paper checks, and they may or may not have other identifying information, but more often than not, you'll see the incoming deposit listed without a name attached to it. So the way that this is generally handled is something known as the pennies method. The pennies method is where the treasurer assigns each member a two-digit number, or 2 pennies worth, um, of identification. And so each member gets a different cents, pennies amount, and appends that to their monthly regular periodic deposits and member payments. So in this case, you can see we've got 6 members of the club. They each have a different number of cents, number of pennies that they append to their $100 regular member payment. And so the advantage here is the treasurer has a lookup table, essentially, each member with their pennies amount, and knows that if any transaction that comes in with 3 cents appended to it is William Kidd. Any that has 5 cents appended to it is Henry Morgan. And this allows for, if you have a club that allows variable monthly member payments, someone could write a check for $75.04, and you would know that's Edward Teach. And so this method has long been used, and is how you can identify. Certainly only works for up to 100 members. So if you have more than 100 members, it's not going to be possible, but this will accommodate most clubs. Again, if you've got a club of that size, you have some other issues with respect to the SEC, and what if you really are an investment club. After members withdraw, you can recycle those penny amounts, and it is true. Some members using this method may end up contributing more than others, up to 99 cents more than another member in a particular month. Uh, that's pretty minimal over the course of a year. And of course, your club, if you're using this method, must permit uh, members to make contributions of varying amounts. But anybody who really objects to it, and thinks that somebody else is getting more by appending more pennies to their monthly member payment, can simply add $1 or $5, and maintain their primacy if that is their desire. So again, this method would require possibly amending or changing your club operating documents to permit it. But the beauty of it is that it really can be pretty streamlined and simplified for your 10 members who to make electronic ACH or ePay deposits. The treasurer can go online, see the transactions, and knows who made what. Um, the That pennies method is something that we're we've got on the back burner to implement in my iClub with respect to broker sync and downloading transactions. If you're not using broker sync, then there's nothing stopping you from implementing this Penny's method, but we're looking to build it in so that you'll have a table within the application, and you won't be able to duplicate numbers, and you'll be able to assign each member a number or allow them to choose their own cents amount if that makes sense for your particular club. So that's what we got for you tonight. We're hoping that we're always looking for feedback, but this is something that we wanted to try to cover. As I said before, there are so many banks and brokers with different policies and procedures and possibilities, and things are evolving. But this is the state of the industry as we know it right now, and hopefully this will give you the starting point questions to ask your bank, your broker. Can you find a broker like Fidelity or Siebert that satisfies your cash management needs and the occasional checks that you need to write? That can really be useful, and hopefully over time you can continue to keep your clubs humming along so you can focus on the key objective, which is building a portfolio that will outperform the market over time. As a reminder, we've got plenty of help resources at myiclub.com. Context-sensitive help. We've got our investment club forum, our user and quick start guides that are downloadable, our webinars and videos on our YouTube channel. We have our frequently asked questions database, and you can always contact us by phone or submit a request online. Hopefully, I'll look forward to hearing from some of you submitting your clubs for our October portfolio tune-up. But if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Contact me at gerlach@iclub.com. Thanks again. I hope you're enjoying this back to school season in September, and that as fall arrives, it'll be a beautiful time of year wherever you are. Thanks again. We will see you next month at our next Investment Club webinar.